All right, here we are with the newest member of the Philadelphia Eagles, Ryan Kerrigan. Ryan, how you doing, man?
Good, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, thanks for coming on here. So where are you right now? Are you home, Northern Virginia, or have you made it up to Philly yet?
I'm heading out to Philly this weekend. Gonna, get settled in there and partake in the off-season program there.
Gotcha. I imagine that this has been an interesting week for you, just emotions wise. I know you probably have known for a while that you're going to be going somewhere else, but how do you describe what it was like officially saying goodbye? You made a post, and then after that, you made a new post showing yourself in those new colors. So what was this week like for you?
It's been pretty cool, honestly, because I mean, a lot of most of the feedback from the public has been pretty good. I mean, obviously there's some Washington fans that aren't too happy, but I think the vast majority of them have been super loving and super nice toward me. And then obviously the Philly crowd has been really, really good and really welcoming. So it's been a really cool week.
At what point was it that you felt like I'm going to be starting a new chapter here? I mean, when did you know that this was coming?
I mean, I knew officially right at the start of free agency. Coach Rivera and Mr. Snyder had called me and said that they weren't going to try to re-sign me. So at that point, I knew I was going to be on one of the other 31 teams, trying to be on one of the other 31 teams in the league. So I officially knew then. So it was just been trying to going through the free agency process, trying to find the right fit, and I think I did that in Philly.
Was that weird experience? I mean, I imagine you hadn't had an experience kind of like that since college. Or you're trying to decide where to go, because with Washington, you guys kept signing extension. You never really hit free agency. So what was this like, trying to make up your mind where you're going and everything?
It's interesting. It's an interesting process for sure. But it was kind of cool, to get kind of, get the, kind of recruiting love. And, I had, coaches from Philly and, players from Philly, reaching out and really telling me how much they valued me and wanted me there. And that felt good. So it felt like that was the right decision.
So why Philly? What was it about there? I was trying to guess early in the offseason. I was like, well, he's from Indiana. They kind of could use some pass rushing help. He knows coaches in Green Bay. He knows coaches in LA. But I didn't pick Philly, although it is an NFC East team. But so why Philly?
After meeting with them, I felt like that was the scheme that kind of suited my skill set and my experience the best. It's pretty multiple in how they use guys on the edge. It's kind of got a nice combo of 3-4 and 4-3 principles, and having played the majority of my career in the 3-4 and last year and in the 4-3, I feel pretty confident and comfortable in both. So I felt like this scheme really fit me the best, and that was the biggest thing. And then too, the coaching staff, they're so energetic, they're really positive and uplifting individuals, and so that combination of factors were the big determinants for me.
Staying in the NFC East, did that give you any type of comfort in just knowing what this division's like at all?
I mean, maybe a little bit, but not. I mean, that wasn't a factor in my decision making. It wasn't like, okay, I want to stay in the NFC East. It was just, this was the best opportunity that I felt was there for me, and I felt like, and so that's what I wanted to take.
I remember a long time ago, Brian Mitchell, longtime Washington player, went to Philly, and he talked about, I want to face Washington twice a year. Is that a nice little extra incentive to it, or is it something that you've even thought about?
I mean, I've thought about it, but it's not like, oh yeah, I got to face Washington. No, I had nothing but love for Washington. And I mean, I want to beat them because they're going to be the opponent now. So nothing like that. I didn't know B Mitch, felt that way. I knew he played for both teams, but I didn't know he felt that way. That's funny to know.
Yeah. So he went from Philly, then he played for the Giants too, because he really just wanted to stay in the NFC East. So it'll be interesting. I know now fans, I think if you had gone to Dallas, they really would have lost it. There were fans who were like, no, not the Eagle Green, whatever. But What did you hear from fans when you posted that picture of you? I mean, I thought you looked pretty good in the green, but it is different.
I thought so too. I think that, I think the midnight green looks pretty good on me, but yeah, it was, I mean, I think a lot of them were just like, kind of what the hell kind of thing. But, I mean, I think the vast majority were like, hey, I get it. You have to find what fits best for you, Ryan. And that's what I did.
So how did that all come together with the picture? Did you have like a graphic team, or, how did you get yourself all decked out in the green like that?
Yeah, with my agency, Athletes First, they have awesome marketing team, and can make all those cool graphics and whatnot, and was able to put that together, and it looked pretty cool.
Do we know yet what number you're going to be wearing?
Be wearing number 90.
Okay.
So yeah, Fletcher Cox is 91. That dude's going on year 10, so I'm not there. Wasn't anyway. I was going to get that, and then Josh Sweat 94, which is what I was in college, but yeah, he's obviously got he's done well in that number. So 90 was a good option for me.
Now, this is a team that's in an interesting position because they're starting all over, but they're not starting over. You got a lot of veteran guys that you just named on that defense, but quarterback, they're starting over, new coaching staff on both sides of the ball. What is that going to be like for you? Not only are you starting over, but the whole team is.
I think it's a pretty good situation in terms of, you got a lot of young guys, but you got your veterans there too, which I think that's what you need in the National Football League. You got to have the young guys, but you got to have, guys that have been there before, guys that have, had played games, have experience, and Philly's got plenty of that. I mean, offensive side of the ball, they got, the right side of their offensive line is very, very, very impressive. I mean, Brandon Brooks, Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey at center. It's got some, really good pieces on the offensive side from experience standpoint. And, like the guys I mentioned earlier, Fletcher Cox and also Brandon Graham, guys that are experienced and, can kind of help show the younger guys the ropes a little bit.
How do you see yourself? Because you've been like that elder statesman the last several years. And now you're playing along, guys that have been in the league a long time like you.
It's cool. I'm excited for it. I mean, I've known those guys pretty much our whole careers. I know Brandon from back, when we were in Big Ten together. He was at Michigan, I was at Purdue, and so we, we've always had that, little connection in that way. So I'm excited to get around them and kind of, have some other guys in the room that are, my age.
Now, some guys, when they've been in the league for a long time, they want to jump on, like a team that's like a Super Bowl team, so they make sure they get that ring. Why didn't you, or try to latch onto a team that's like right there on the cusp versus like a team like this that's kind of hitting the reset button?
Well, I mean, Philly's been to the playoffs 3 of the past 4 years. I mean, people are quick to forget that. Last year was kind of the anomaly of the past 4 years. I mean, hell, they won the Super Bowl a couple of years back, and yeah, there's some change, and that that's par for the course. The NFL has changed, but I like the talent we have there, and I really believe in the coaching staff, and so I mean, I'm not counting us out of anything.
Now, they just a little while ago, their defense coordinator was talking. He talked about how excited was he to get you in there. Described you as a high character guy. They want guys like that in there. What does that mean to you, to be pursued like that, and then also thought of as a character guy?
That's really what you'll want the most of anything, and I think that's kind of what I've seen this week, and in terms of a lot of people that have been reaching out and saying wishing me well going to Philly. They some of the nice things they've said to me, like I've always enjoyed working with you and whatnot, and that's what means the most to me is you getting those kind of compliments. Not, oh, you're a hell of a player, oh, you're great at sacking the quarterback, but how you treated me well, you're a high character guy, and that's a compliment I really appreciate and take to heart.
But also, you still do want to be thought of as a playmaker guy as well.
Well, hell yeah! I mean, I don't want to be thought of as some slap out there. I want to want them to be like, oh damn, Kerrigan's in, man. That's from the offensive standpoint. I want to be like, oh man, we gotta count for that dude.
Now, are we gonna see the showstopper, or are you bringing that to Philly, or is that staying in Washington?
That's a good question. My wife and I have been talking about that because, I mean, I'm kind of known for it a little bit now, but at the same time, I don't know. We're gonna figure that out and kind of we'll see. We're going to talk about that. We're going to take our time with that one.
When people, when they get up, they've been in the league, for a decade here for you, but you're still a young guy, relatively speaking. So did it kind of sting a little bit that they moved on in Washington, or how did you see that?
I mean, I think you kind of realize that's just part of the business. I mean, either teams are always going to want to go younger. That's just how it is. I mean, I always go, this is the example I always go back to when you realize the NFL is a business, and that, growing up in Indiana, Peyton Manning was everything, for us Colts fans. And, when he, was after the 2011 season, they kind of decided they were going to move on and draft Andrew Luck. And so you realize if a team can move on from Peyton Manning, a team can move on from just about anybody. And just let me be clear, I'm in no way, shape, or form comparing myself to Peyton Manning. I'm just saying when you realize that if a team can move on from a player who's, it's 5-time MVP, you realize that that's just part of the business. And so you can't take anything like that personally. And I didn't. I just kind of realized that was just part of the business.
Did you think about retiring at all?
I didn't, because I felt like I've always said I want to play as long as I feel good, but I don't want to play until I feel bad, and I still feel good. So I want to, keep rolling with it.
I remember a few years ago when Luke Kuechly retired, you were one of the guys that hit up just saying, trying to get a perspective about, the wear and tear and guys, retiring young versus wanting to play. And you mentioned that you want to play so your daughter remembers seeing you. Is that something that still is a driving force for you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's a huge thing, because I mean, she's old enough now. She's 2 years old to where she, is talking and, and communicating with us now and whatnot. And, my wife will always be like, okay, daddy's going to work. Say bye to daddy. Bye, daddy. And, I want her to not only know, okay, daddy's going to work, but see okay, this is what daddy's doing for work. And this is why he's spending time away from the house and whatnot. And this is what he's doing. And, this is a fun ride in the NFL. I want my kids as much as possible to be able to, experience that and remember that. And so they can, look back when they're watching an NFL game in 20 years, be like, wow, that's pretty cool. My dad got to do this for a long time. And so that's definitely a driving force for me.
How do you balance fatherhood with preparation? Because I mean, it is hard enough for me. I got to go to the gym super early before I got to, help with breakfast and get the kids out. But I'm working out for an hour, 15 minutes. Your body is your business, and you spend way more time. So how do you balance all the preparation physically that you have to do with being a father as well?
I mean, my wife makes it real easy on me. She knows, hey, you only got, a short time in your life that you can do this for a living and play this game. So she's like, hey, whatever you need to do to take care of your body and get yourself, ready, you do it. And so she makes it real easy on me. But, I think you really notice it during season, because you're getting up at, 5:30, you're out of the door by 5:45, 6, and you're home at about 5 o'clock, in time for dinner with your kids, and then, bath time. And then when you're putting them down, I'm then getting in my hyperbaric chamber, watching film, and then 9 o'clock rolls around, it's time for bed again. And so, you got to prioritize your time, and you got to make sure your time away from work is dedicated to the kids and your wife, and not so much to, video games and TV.
Now, what has changed about your preparation and the way you work out now that you're 30 plus compared to when you first came into the league?
When I first came into the league, I mean, I think after the 2011 season, I took 1 week completely off. And then after that, I was right back into lifting heavy weights and running and all that. And now it's I take a probably, at least 3 weeks off, 4 weeks completely off, to really let the body settle down. And then when I'm getting back into it, I'm not doing heavy work until, probably about now, and so that's what's changed the most, that you realize you don't got to be, full tilt all year round. You just got to make sure you're firing on all cylinders during the season. You don't need to be squatting 600 pounds in April. That's not, that's where I feel like I've grown a lot, is because, you realize that being healthy for football doesn't mean that you're at your strongest at all times. It means you're at your strongest when you need it, and that's on Sundays during the season.
How do you recover now? What do you do to help your recovery that maybe when you're younger you didn't even have to think about doing?
I mean, the big one is just sleeping more. I mean, I think it's like when you're younger, you're just like, okay, if I'm getting in bed before midnight, that's pretty good. Now it's like if I'm not in bed by like 9:30, I'm like, okay, this is not good. And so I think sleep's been the biggest thing. But then too, in 2017, I got a hyperbaric chamber for the house, and that's been a game changer. That's I spend about an hour a day in that, and that really helps with the recovery and kind of gets more oxygen back to the bloodstream.
You don't feel claustrophobic in that? I mean, I got in one, they had a display at the combine, and I was in there for like 10 seconds, like feeling like I was in a casket. So how long did it take you to get used to that type of thing?
I didn't mind it. It was like, I mean, it was weird at first. It was, and like the pressure in your ears was a little strange, but it was, I mean, I think, and this is kind of this, I feel like this with a lot of aspects of training and recovery. It's like, I know this is going to help me deal with it kind of thing. Like, and so, and that's kind of the mentality I take into it. And honestly, I don't find it claustrophobic now at all. So it's a good space for me.
That's your quiet place right there then, huh?
Right. Yeah. I get to take the iPad in there and just zone out.
Now, I know you've got to get acclimated to things in Philly. How will you approach this offseason? Because I know there's a lot of talk between like the NFLPA saying, look, this is voluntary, don't go there. Then some guys don't want to train away from a facility because they don't want the non-football injury trouble. How do you approach this as you're learning a new home, but you also want to be smart in your preparation and your rest and recovery time?
Yeah, well, I'm going for, we got 2 weeks left in the voluntary stuff. I'm going to go because I want to get acclimated. I'm behind with the defense right now because they've been installing that for, a month or so now. So I'm behind. So I got to get caught up. And two, I want to get, acclimated to the building, acclimated, see where everything is. Cause I don't want the first time that I'm going to NovaCare to be during training camp. I want to, have a good understanding. Okay, this is where this is. This is where this is. This is how I'll use this. This is how I'll use that. I want to have that ready before training camp comes around.
Gotcha. A couple more for you. As you look back on your time in Washington, what's your most memorable experience or memory? And then what's the most disappointing or frustrating thing about it?
I'd say the most disappointing is that we just didn't win more. I wanted to win so bad for the fans there because I knew they were hungry for a winner after all the success they'd had in the late 80s, early 90s. So I really, that was, that's the frustrating. I wanted to win more there. And I'm bummed that we didn't, but I would say that, best memories. I mean, to me, it's all just one good memory. Like it's like, I just had so many great ones. I mean, I get a pick six in my first game, against the Giants. I remember a sack fumble against Dak Prescott in 2018 that, sealed, and, Preston Smith picks it up for a touchdown that kind of sealed the victory against Dallas, and FedEx was just going bananas after that. And it was just so cool. And man, there's just so many fun people to be around there. Like I had some really funny, cool teammates. Like, I think of like Jason Hatcher, Kedrick Golston, Chris Baker. Gosh, what a goofy guy. Like Will Compton, Trent Murphy, Sean Laval. I think of so many, Ioannidis, John, Ryan Anderson. Oh my, like just funny, cool dudes. And it's like, those are like the dudes that I'll look back on when I'm done playing football, and I'll be like, man, I'm so thankful I played professional football because it put me around dudes like that were just so funny, just bring so much like good to life. And those are, yeah, the moments on the field are definitely great memories, but it's the people, the teammates, trainers, coaches, strength staff, all those folks that made it such a fun experience.
My frustration for you is that like your last game there in the playoffs, there were no fans like to appreciate, to kind of say goodbye, or for you to, put on a show for. Next time you go back, you're going to be in a different color, but I hope they give you a good, a warm welcome and a thank you.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I'm going to be in some, not very welcome colors there. So that'll be interesting to see the reaction.
Good deal. Well, Ryan, I really appreciate you coming on here with me, man. Best of luck to you. And I bounce around all over the league now, so hopefully I'll see you a couple times now. Now that you're up there in Philly.
Yeah, let me know.
All right, man. Thanks.
Thanks, Mike.